We have the GoPro Hero 7, the GoPro Hero 8, and the brand new GoPro Hero 9 Black. In this video, we're going to do a full breakdown and comparison of the GoPro 7, 8, and the brand new GoPro Hero 9 Black. And instead of walking around my neighborhood or taking pictures of coffee cups, we're going to take these cameras into the field and actually test them out doing what they're meant to do. Make sure you guys watch until the end of this video because I'm going to be breaking down and testing some of the new features on the brand new GoPro 9 as well. Now, honestly, it seems like every 6 months, GoPro comes out with a new model, but the big question is the new GoPro 9 worth it? Now, let's jump in and see how they actually compare. So first up, let's chat image quality. I took my longboard out to Coral Canyon here in Malibu to get some of those POV and selfie shots using a head mount and a selfie stick. And honestly, I would say overall, the image quality of the footage across the board is pretty similar and not really worth writing home about. I will say one thing that does stand out is the new HYPERSMOOTH 3.0 in the new GoPro 9. I tested this out in a few different action scenarios like a trail run to see how it would hold up. And honestly, the GoPro 9 does seem to have a little bit of an edge on the older models. So if you're looking to get those smooth gimbal-esque shots, then I do think that the 9 does have an edge on the other models. Next up, the audio. So GoPro has been trying to market their cameras to vloggers for like the last few years and selling these silly little attachments with flip out screens and whatnot. And honestly, I'm not buying it. If you're looking to vlog or record audio, I think you should probably just buy a camera, not an action camera. But for the sake of this video, here's a quick test. This is an audio test on the GoPro 7. This is an audio test on the GoPro 8. This is an audio test on the GoPro 9. As I said, it's an action camera, not much to write home about. And honestly, I think if you're trying to capture good audio, you're gonna need an external mic, no matter what camera you're using. The majority of the time that you're using a GoPro, it's probably gonna sound like this. Moving right along, let's chat photos. So GoPro has featured the new 20 megapixel sensor in their GoPro 9 release commercial. Now this would compare to the 12 megapixel sensor on the GoPro 8 and the 7, which you might say, hey, that's 8 megapixels, that's dope. It has to look better, right? Now, if you ask me, the difference is actually incremental once again. I think that's really because there's a lot of other mechanical factors that play into the quality of a still image, like dynamic range and focal length. I did go out and shoot some portraits as well as some landscapes, and in the right scenario, you can get some really beautiful landscape photos, but regardless of how many megapixels you have in the thing, it's still gonna look like you took a photo with a GoPro. And honestly, I think that's totally okay if that's something that you're looking for and you want something in your pocket to snap some photos. But after all, we do have these little things called iPhones now, and they're getting pretty damn good. Now, I think where the GoPro photography does shine is in the act of shooting those epic action sports or outdoor adventure style photos where you need something you can just strap to a snowboard or on top of your car or anything like that. You can beat it up, you can get it wet. I don't, however, think that the 8 extra megapixels in this thing is worth buying it, especially if you already have one of the older models like the 7 to the 8, or you're simply just thinking about buying a GoPro to take pictures. To be honest, on that note, if you're looking to buy or upgrade to the new GoPro from a previous model with the hopes that you're going to get something that produces a better image, then honestly, I suggest you move along and save the money. However, there are some pretty amazing new features on this thing that make it stand out. And in my opinion, if you're specifically looking to get the most out of an action camera, it's worth considering. But first, it's important to ask this question. Who is this camera for? If you're looking to get a GoPro to vlog or create social media content, or just have a small camera to carry around, then honestly, I do not suggest this thing. You're better off going with a point and shoot like the Sony ZV-1 or a budget mirrorless camera like the Canon M50. However, if you want an action camera to go out and do amazing stuff with, I think this is the one. So let's chat new features. My personal favorite new feature is this thing called Hindsight. And essentially what this does is when you turn on this option, the GoPro is constantly recording, but not to the SD card. However, when you hit the record button, it will actually dump the last 30 seconds of footage before you started hitting the record button. What does that mean? Basically, it means that you're not going to miss a shot. Oftentimes when you're using a GoPro, you're snowboarding or you're surfing, and you might not be fully focused on managing a camera on your head or on top of a board. Let's say, for example, you're sitting in the lineup and there's that wave coming in and you're hustling, turn your board around and paddle into the right position. But then when you're about to catch that wave, you realize you forgot to hit record and you think, fuck, I just missed that shot. Well, that's where this comes in handy because the GoPro will have already been recording and will dump 30 seconds of the footage previous to what you do when you hit the record button. Another feature that I think comes in handy is the scheduled capture. This is exactly what it sounds like. You can set your camera up. Let's say you're camping and you want to get a time lapse of the sunrise, but you don't really feel like waking up at 5:30 in the morning to get up early. So what you can do is you can set up the GoPro and it will turn on and start recording at the set time that you have set up. The other new feature that is similar to this is the duration capture, which is exactly what it sounds like too. You can tell the GoPro you want it to record for 5 minutes, 30 minutes, or X amount of time. And yes, now I get it. You might be thinking, can I just hit record and stop recording? Why is that so special? Well, I think that this actually comes in handy if you're setting up a GoPro somewhere to try and get a shot and you want to forget about it. Like I recently went on a shark dive and this actually would have came in handy simply because I would have loved to have this set up on a Gorilla Pod on the cage and I didn't have to worry about it, so I can focus on using my main DSLR. It's not 100% necessary, but hey, it's actually pretty helpful. Lastly, the feature that really makes this thing stand out to me is the front-facing camera. If you watched any of my other tech reviews, you know I'm a big fan of a flip-out screen, and it's about time that GoPro came out with this, honestly. Now, I'm not saying anybody should just go out and start vlogging with this thing, but it makes using a camera so much easier and more functional. We can actually see what you're doing, especially when you're using a GoPro and it's in the water or it's mounted to a skateboard or on top of a car. You don't have to flip it around or mess around with it to try and see what shot you're capturing. So the big question is this: should you buy this thing, and is it worth it, especially if you have an older GoPro model? I would say this: if you're an action camera person and you're jumping off cliffs and skydiving and doing all that crazy stuff, then I do think that the new features are worth the $450. However, if you're looking to get the new GoPro just for the sake of getting the new GoPro and you're not actually using it like an action camera and you're trying to take some pictures for Instagram, well, these things are pretty good.